So once upon a time, a TV show once dropped a team of men and women on a separate, identical, deserted island to see, who would survive, right? No scripts, no interference. And me myself, I actually thought that this video was fake. I've heard a lot of people reference this video before, but after you watch this, right, what happened next became one of the most controversial social experiments in modern history. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
To the island, the women have no choice but to swim to the shore in the clothes they're wearing.
No dry clothes and no fire, because we have to make mistakes. Don't think about it. Just one by one.
Bro, she's already crying before even leaving the boat. That is crazy. That is wild.
It's gonna take.
We'll just cuddle each other tonight.
Yeah.
With light running out fast, the women are no
Yo, this is paradise for these guys, by the way.
closer to finding a beach to set up camp.
It's right near me.
A huge fucking snake came towards me.
I think.
Oh my God, there's a caiman.
Though potentially deadly to humans, a crocodile of this size could provide tens of thousands of calories for the women, who have barely eaten in days. The women decide to walk away from this potentially life-saving feast.
That is dinner here. That is our dinner. The little bastard's got close, Fanny. He's not scared of us.
You're in.
Here we go, puppy dog.
Yes.
Go. Get in there, boys. Woo!
Actually wrapping up the dog.
We can't eat because we have no fire. We have nothing to drink because we can't boil it to purify it and sterilise it.
Unbelievable.
The women have circled back to Coconut Beach for a second time. The women have now been without water for more than 48 hours, and they are dangerously dehydrated.
I feel really drained.
After almost 2 weeks without a meal, the group is at the point of starvation. If they don't eat soon, there's a genuine risk their organs will start to shut down.
Call the medic!
Yo, did she just pass out, bro? What the hell is going, bro?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Nah, that's insane. It's crazy because I've heard a lot of people reference this before, but I didn't know it was actually true. Like I thought it was like a TV show that, obviously TV shows are normally planned. But this one doesn't look like it's planned, bro. I mean, maybe at the end that passing out, but that could be true. But I've always, like I said, I've always heard people reference this, but it seems like it actually happened. And you already knew the women were cooked when you saw the first woman complaining before even leaving the boat. And then they started complaining about gathering firewood, how long it would take to gather the firewood and then put fire in place. They struggled to find a campsite, walked away from a crocodile that would give them tens of thousands of calories. The men saw the exact same predator and said, well, that's dinner tonight. And this just proves to, why the society that we live in desperately needs masculine utility. This is exactly why, right? And this video is for all the feminists out there who say we don't need men. This is a perfect example. You have women passing out on the beach, well, in the deserted island, right, in the forest, because they quite literally cannot fend for themselves. Because if you look at it, right, The environment is identical, right? The starting tools were identical, right? But the psychological approach couldn't have been more different. On the female island, right, hours were spent in consensus building, right, discussing feelings about the heat, arguing over where to set up camp, and complaining about how long it took to pick up sticks for a fire. Days went by, right, dehydration set in, and morale collapsed. And once you have no morale in the group, well, you're pretty much cooked. And this is not to say that it's because women lack the intelligence, but it's because they lack decisive, action-oriented leadership. Now take a look at the contrast in what happened on the male island, right? Hierarchy established itself automatically almost immediately. And this is one of the biggest things, right, between men and women, is that men actually understand hierarchy and they have no problem admitting that another guy is better at doing something than they can. And they actually allow that guy to do what they're best at, and they put people in positions. Okay, you're going to go catch the crocodile. You're going to film. You're going to go gather sticks. You're going to put the fire together. You're going to be the one who's the chef. Guys compartmentalize. Men normally do that, and we have no problem because why? We understand hierarchy. And that is a fundamental difference in this in this deserted island experiment that this TV show put on. Roles were assigned based on competence, right? Guys didn't hold a town hall meeting to discuss how picking up wood would make them feel, right? No feelings were involved, right? You have to survive. I think it was about 2 weeks on that island, right? They built a shelter, they secured a water supply, and they created a parameter. Now let's move on to the crocodile dynamic because, this is the risk to reward ratio that the women were clearly not ready to take. The risk was high. That's a very, very dangerous animal to, everybody, basically, especially human beings. Once they get a hold of you, well, you're pretty much cooked. The risk was very high, but the reward was also very, very high. The women saw it. Well, they assessed it from a very pure, risk-averse reaction. They had a very risk-averse reaction. They chose to walk away, prioritizing immediate safety over the crucial calories that would actually have kept them. They probably, knowing how women eat, right? They don't really eat a lot, especially women who are slim. And those women, I don't think there were any fat women there, right? They don't eat a lot. That crocodile could have probably lasted them for probably like a week or even more. When the men saw the crocodile, well, the instinct wasn't just fear, right? It was a strategy. We're going to lure them in, and then get them to open the mouth, right? And then go from behind and then slam it down and then tape the mouth and then go ahead and cook it for dinner. They evaluated the risk, right? Coordinated a plan and confronted the predator, right? And secured a massive source of protein, which is something you definitely need when you're on a deserted island like that. And this isn't just about pure hunting or men have better hunting skills. It's just the way how this is a primary example and a very good example of how men and women navigate risk. Men are just biologically wired to calculate risk, and to provide for the group. That's just what we are hardwired to do. Any man or most men, in that situation would probably do that because it's almost as if the survival of the group is on their shoulders. At least men would feel that way. Those would be the only feelings involved. Throughout human history, right, civilization, it was built because men stepped into the danger that others just didn't want to. This is the reason why men still, lead the board when it comes to infrastructure jobs like, underwater welding or, the roofs where the jobs where you have to build houses, go on high roofs, constructions, right? All these things, right, are going out into the sea and, doing these dangerous jobs, right? That's why the mortality rate for men is so high because we are required because who else is going to do it? That's the real question, right? Who else is going to do it? It's definitely not going to be the women. And it's not because, they're evil. It's just because most of them, probably only 100%, probably only a 1% of them actually can. And this is what I always say, right? Just because you're capable of doing something doesn't mean that it's optimal that you do that one thing. So the question probably is, a lot of people might ask is like, because there's the luxury of modern civilization has really made women not necessarily like evil, but they have been very, very ungrateful. And this is the reason why you see women come online and say, we don't need men. Like, we don't need men. Like, who needs a man, right? This is the reason why you see videos like that online, because of the modern and the luxury and the new civilization of society. Modern society in 2026 has basically created an illusion that biological roles are obsolete, like they don't exist anymore and they don't matter. We're all the same. A man can do what a woman can do, and a woman can do what a man can do. But what these people fail to recognize or acknowledge is that when clean water comes out of the tap, right, when electricity, right, when the electricity, right, powers your home at the flip of a switch, and food is delivered to your door by the convenience of an app, it's easy to say, oh, we don't need men, right? But modern comfort masks the massive male infrastructure required to keep society functioning. And a lot of women and feminists will never ever admit this. This island experiment is what would happen probably if 99% of women were actually put on an island, by the way. It stripped away all the modern luxuries, right? And the second you remove air conditioning, right, just the little things, air conditioning, police officers, plumbers, grocery stores, you can't just go to the store 5 minutes away or even drive 15 minutes away and just say, oh, you know, I want these eggs, this, and that. No, you can't just do that anymore. You have to go hunt and gather. When that happens, right, reality asserts itself instantly. When nature takes over, right, competence, physical strength, and risk tolerance aren't optional anymore. They're actually required for survival. And I already know I'm going to get the feminists, right, saying, you know, oh, you know, looking at this experiment, it's to bash women and make men feel superior. No, the core lesson is that there is mutual need, not resentment. Right? The real takeaway is interdependence. That's very important. The real takeaway is interdependence, right? Men and women need each other. Men bring protection, right? Risk tolerance and structural execution. Women bring cohesion. Women bring care. Women bring life. They're the only people in this world who can actually create life after also, you know, obviously being inseminated by a man. Or they're the only people who can actually cook that in the oven, right? Without them, we can't do it. Without them, civilization and, you know, or ancestors or us, we would never ever exist. We would never talk about these things. And it's just crazy because videos like this, it just makes women or people who pretend as if, you know, centuries of evolutionary biology and hardwiring doesn't exist. Like, bro, come on, bro. Just because we have smartphones doesn't mean that you don't need a man. You know, it's crazy. But the reality is that, you know, nature doesn't care about modern ideology, right? It only cares about competence, right, and action. And it only cares about biology, right? Biology does not conform to social constructs. That's very important. I'm going to say that one more time. Biology does not conform or care about social constructs, meaning that we don't care, like biology doesn't care that you think that men and women are equal. Like, or that you can do the same thing that man can do. No, like when shit hits the fan, as you can see on this island, you know, it's time to go. And clearly they needed a man. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments, right? Smash the like button, comment down below, and share this video in the algorithm so it kind of pushes it out, and, you know, to more guys who need a reality check, and also for the women and the feminists to see as well. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. I'll see you in the next one.